Discipline and consistency are not glamorous words, but they are the quiet engines that drive human potential over decades. When we look at someone like Albert Beckles, we see the visible results of thousands of choices made deliberately, day after day, without the need for immediate recognition or applause. His life illustrates a principle that science has long confirmed. Long-term adaptation in the body is shaped far more by repeated, measured actions than by occasional extreme efforts. The human body is not designed to respond to sporadic bursts of intensity as a sustainable strategy. It is built to learn, adapt, and grow stronger when it encounters challenges in a predictable, controlled manner over time. Discipline is not a moment. It is a rhythm, a cadence that allows the complex systems of the body to integrate stress, recover, and improve with each cycle. Consistency in training, for example, does not mean pushing oneself to the limit every day. It means respecting the natural rhythms of muscles, joints, and connective tissues, allowing recovery while applying steady stimulus. Each session of exercise signals the body to repair and fortify tissues, to strengthen neural connections that coordinate movement, and to adapt cardiovascular and metabolic systems for efficiency. Over time, this creates a foundation that is both resilient and responsive. Sporadic, intense effort can create temporary growth, but without the follow-up of repeated, deliberate practice, the body cannot consolidate these gains into lasting capability. Longevity, in terms of physical function, emerges not from short-lived extremes, but from habits that the body encounters regularly enough to recognize as trustworthy and manageable. Discipline extends beyond the gym or training environment into nutrition, sleep, and daily choices. The body interprets repeated patterns in diet as signals for growth, repair, and energy allocation. When meals are consistent, nutrient-rich, and aligned with physiological needs, cells are able to perform their restorative functions efficiently. Inconsistent or chaotic eating patterns, even if combined with occasional over-the-top workouts, introduce stress that disrupts repair and accelerates wear. Similarly, consistent sleep allows hormonal cycles, memory consolidation, and tissue repair to proceed predictably. The benefits of these actions compound gradually, almost imperceptibly, but they are cumulative. Years of steady, deliberate care produce a physiological environment where muscles, bones, and organs function optimally and visibly age more slowly. Mental discipline is equally critical to this consistency. Motivation fluctuates, energy dips, and external circumstances change, but the choice to continue is what creates momentum. The human brain, intimately connected to physiological systems, thrives on repeated patterns. Focused attention and purposeful action reduce unnecessary energy expenditure on internal stress and uncertainty, allowing the body to allocate resources toward repair and adaptation. This is why someone like Albert Beckles could maintain elite performance over decades. His consistency was as much psychological as it was physical. Consistency also shapes perception of effort and mastery. When the body experiences regular, predictable training, it adapts not only structurally but neurologically. Movement becomes efficient, coordination improves, and injuries become less frequent because the body learns to anticipate and distribute forces effectively. Irregular patterns, even with high intensity, do not provide the nervous system with the same opportunity to refine its responses, leaving tissues more vulnerable and adaptation incomplete. Ultimately, discipline and consistency are the tools by which the human body expresses its potential. They transform isolated actions into a coherent trajectory that can be measured not in weeks or months, but in decades. Longevity and peak performance are not miracles. They are the cumulative result of repeated, deliberate choices applied with patience and awareness. The visible strength, energy, and vitality of someone like Albert Beckles is the manifestation of this principle, a life lived in rhythm with the body's natural capacity to learn, repair, and grow stronger over time, reminding us that the quiet, persistent application of discipline is the most powerful agent of long-term human achievement. Building a resilient, functional physique is not merely a matter of lifting heavier weights or spending more hours in the gym. It is an exercise in understanding how the body moves, adapts, and communicates internally. Albert Beckles' approach to training exemplifies this principle, showing that intelligence in exercise is just as important as effort. The body is a highly complex system of muscles, tendons, ligaments, bones, and neural networks, all working in concert to perform precise movements. When training is designed with this understanding, the stress applied to tissues is constructive rather than destructive, allowing adaptation to occur in a predictable and sustainable way. What many mistake as natural talent is often the visible result of years of methodical, intelligent training that respects the limits and potential of the body. Muscles do not grow merely because they are fatigued, they grow because they are challenged in a way that signals repair and adaptation. Over time, the nervous system becomes more efficient at recruiting muscle fibers, coordinating movement, and maintaining balance and stability. Albert Beckles' distinctive physique was a product of this kind of systemic thinking. His training emphasized not just the size of individual muscles, but the integrity of the connections between them, the quality of contraction, and the longevity of joint and tendon health. By focusing on controlled, precise movements rather than reckless intensity, the body is given the opportunity to strengthen in harmony with itself. The principle of progressive adaptation lies at the heart of intelligent training. The body does not respond well to erratic or excessive stimulus. It requires a gradual, structured increase in load and complexity. When stress is applied in a measured way, tissues remodel efficiently, energy systems optimize, and the risk of injury decreases. Beckles' decades-long career demonstrates the effectiveness of this principle. He did not rely on sudden spikes in effort or extreme methods that the body could not sustain. Instead, he applied consistent, well-designed stimulus over years, allowing adaptation to accumulate and compound. This approach mirrors what we see in long-term biological studies. The body rewards patterns that are predictable and manageable, and it struggles when confronted with sporadic extremes. Recovery is an equally vital component of intelligent training. Muscles grow not during the workout, but during periods of rest, when protein synthesis, hormonal regulation, and cellular repair take place. Beckles' approach balanced challenge with recovery, ensuring that the tissues were given time to consolidate gains and strengthen structurally. Over decades, this careful management of stress and recovery allowed him to maintain high levels of performance while reducing the risk of chronic injuries or degenerative conditions that commonly affect athletes later in life. Intelligent training also considers the aesthetic and functional goals of the body simultaneously. Beckles' physique was remarkable not only for its size but for its symmetry, proportion, and clarity of definition. These qualities reflect the body's response to training that engages all systems harmoniously. When one neglects proper balance or overemphasizes certain muscles at the expense of others, structural weaknesses develop, movement becomes inefficient, and the risk of injury increases. The visible result of intelligent training is a body that is strong, flexible, and capable of sustained effort, rather than a collection of isolated strengths that deteriorate quickly under stress. Finally, training intelligence is inseparable from awareness and reflection. Beckles observed his own body, adapted routines based on how tissues responded, and made adjustments over time. This feedback loop between observation and adaptation is a hallmark of longevity in physical performance. The body communicates through fatigue, soreness, movement quality, and energy levels, and interpreting these signals intelligently allows training to remain productive over decades. The disciplined mind and the observant practitioner are as critical as any technique or protocol. In essence, intelligent training is not a secret formula or a fleeting strategy, it is a lifetime commitment to understanding and respecting the body's natural architecture. The results are not only aesthetic but functional, reflecting a system that can endure, adapt, and remain resilient over time. Albert Beckles' long, successful career in bodybuilding illustrates this principle vividly. His physique, longevity, and performance were not products of luck, but of consistent, deliberate, and intelligent interaction with his own body, demonstrating that when training is rooted in understanding and respect, the body can achieve extraordinary results and sustain them across decades. Nutrition is far more than fuel, it is information, a language that communicates to every cell in the body how to grow, repair, and respond to stress. Albert Beckles' longevity and distinctive physique were shaped not just by hours in the gym, but by the foods he consistently chose over decades, demonstrating that dietary decisions have profound long-term consequences. What we eat becomes part of the structural and chemical environment of the body. Cells rely on nutrients to build proteins, maintain membranes, and produce energy, and when the inputs are consistent, balanced, and biologically compatible, adaptation occurs efficiently. Nutrition is not a short-term intervention, it is a lifetime of repeated signals, and those signals can either support resilience or accelerate wear and breakdown. Protein, carbohydrates, and fats are more than energy sources, they are the raw materials and messengers that guide cellular processes. Beckles' approach to nutrition emphasized the quality of these macronutrients, selecting whole, minimally processed foods that the body could readily interpret. Highly processed foods, by contrast, introduce compounds that the body does not recognize as natural. These foods increase metabolic stress, provoke subtle inflammation, and disrupt hormonal and enzymatic signaling. Over years, the cumulative effect of poor nutritional choices can be seen in reduced muscle quality, slower recovery, and diminished overall resilience. By consistently choosing foods aligned with biological efficiency, Beckles minimized this invisible stress and allowed his body to allocate energy toward repair and growth rather than defense. Carbohydrates, for example, are not inherently harmful, but their form and timing profoundly affect metabolism. Rapid digesting, refined carbohydrates can provoke repeated spikes in blood sugar and insulin. Each spike is a small stressor, initiating a cascade of hormonal and inflammatory responses. When these events occur frequently over decades, they can subtly erode vascular health, collagen integrity, and cellular efficiency. Beckles' dietary habits emphasized complex carbohydrates and fiber-rich foods that released energy gradually, maintaining metabolic stability and preserving cellular function. This allowed his muscles, connective tissues, and energy systems to remain resilient even as the years advanced. Fats are equally critical, serving as the structural foundation of cell membranes and as precursors for hormones and signaling molecules. Beckles' diet likely included fats that supported these processes, rather than industrial or heavily processed oils that can embed into membranes and disrupt signaling. Natural fats enhance membrane fluidity, improve neural communication, and support anti-inflammatory pathways, whereas altered fats promote rigidity and low-grade inflammation. Over time, these subtle effects on cellular communication compound, influencing not only aesthetic appearance but also systemic function, from vascular flexibility to cognitive clarity. Proteins are the building blocks of tissues, enzymes, and hormones, but their quality is paramount. Whole, biologically familiar protein sources allow the body to synthesize muscle, connective tissue, and enzymes efficiently. Processed or altered proteins can trigger low-grade immune responses, create metabolic noise, and slow tissue repair. Beckles' approach emphasized proteins that the body could readily incorporate, reducing the energy wasted on unnecessary immune activation and maximizing the impact on structural integrity and performance. Micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals, though often overlooked, play equally vital roles in repair, recovery, and cellular signaling. Consistent intake of nutrient-dense foods ensures that mitochondria, the body's energy producers, function optimally, that enzymes catalyze reactions efficiently, and that antioxidants are available to manage oxidative stress. The cumulative effect of these nutritional strategies over decades is profound: reduced inflammation, enhanced recovery, preserved tissue quality, and sustained performance. Ultimately, Beckles' nutritional discipline illustrates that food is not merely a transient influence on the body but a lifelong dialogue. Every choice sends a message, either supporting repair, resilience, and clarity, or demanding constant correction and adaptation. The visible strength, balance, and vitality he maintained into his later years were the result of decades of careful attention to this dialogue, a testament to how consistent, intelligent nutrition allows the body to thrive, repair efficiently, and age with grace, function, and enduring power. The role of mindset and psychological resilience in long-term physical performance is often underestimated, yet it is a cornerstone of sustained achievement. Albert Beckles' decades-long career demonstrates that physical capability and mental discipline are inseparable. The body does not exist in isolation; it responds to signals from the mind, interpreting stress, focus, and motivation as cues for adaptation. A disciplined mindset creates an environment in which energy is directed efficiently toward repair, growth, and performance, rather than being wasted on distraction, indecision, or unnecessary stress. Over decades, this mental framework compounds, influencing not only strength and aesthetics but also longevity, recovery, and the ability to maintain high levels of performance well into later life. Psychological resilience begins with consistency of intention. Motivation naturally fluctuates, and effort cannot be sustained purely by momentary enthusiasm. Beckles' mental approach was rooted in understanding that lasting success is achieved not through sporadic bursts of intensity, but through repeated, deliberate actions, even on days when energy or external conditions were suboptimal. This consistency of focus reinforces behavioral patterns and trains the nervous system to operate efficiently, reducing unnecessary physiological stress and allowing energy to be devoted to productive adaptation. The mind, when disciplined, becomes a regulator of internal environment, guiding the body to prioritize repair, muscle synthesis, and endurance rather than merely survival. Mental resilience also shapes the perception of effort and challenge. Training at a high level for decades requires the ability to approach each session with awareness, rather than reaction. Beckles' mindset allowed him to push beyond temporary discomfort while avoiding overexertion that could lead to injury or burnout. He understood the difference between productive stress, which promotes adaptation, and harmful stress, which accelerates wear. This self-awareness, combined with mental control over focus and intent, enables the body to adapt efficiently, creating a system in which growth is predictable and sustainable. Visualization and cognitive rehearsal further reinforce resilience. Beckles' prolonged success suggests that he approached training not only as physical exertion but also as a mental process. The brain prepares the body for movement, influencing neural recruitment, muscle coordination, and timing. By mentally engaging with his routines, he primed the nervous system to respond optimally, reducing energy waste and improving precision. Over time, this enhances performance and minimizes risk, demonstrating that the mind's guidance of the body as a form of intelligent training is critical as the physical routines themselves. Emotional regulation plays a complementary role. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, disrupts sleep, and interferes with protein synthesis and tissue repair. By maintaining calm focus, Beckles allowed his body to remain in a state conducive to recovery and growth rather than constant defense. Mental discipline reduces the wear of emotional turbulence on physiological systems, preserving connective tissue integrity, vascular health, and energy balance. This interplay between mind and body illustrates that resilience is not only the ability to endure external challenges, but also the capacity to maintain internal equilibrium over decades. Finally, long-term thinking is inseparable from psychological resilience. Beckles' mindset reflected an understanding of cumulative cause and effect. Every training session, meal, and rest period was a strategic step toward a decades-spanning goal. Patience, foresight, and consistent mental engagement allowed him to sustain high-level performance without sacrificing long-term health or functional capacity. The body and mind together form a feedback loop, in which disciplined thought enhances physical adaptation, and physiological stability reinforces mental clarity. In essence, the longevity of Albert Beckles' career was not merely a triumph of muscle or technique, it was a testament to the power of a disciplined, resilient mind. His approach illustrates that cognitive and emotional mastery are not optional adjuncts to physical training, they are fundamental to sustaining performance, health, and vitality over a lifetime. Mental resilience directs energy efficiently, reduces internal stress, and allows the body to adapt predictably, ensuring that decades of effort compound into sustained strength, functional capacity, and enduring vitality. Longevity and sustained vitality are not the result of short-term effort or dramatic interventions, they are the product of reducing internal friction and allowing the body's natural systems to operate efficiently. Albert Beckles' life and career exemplify this principle, showing that aging is less about chronological time and more about the cumulative effects of the decisions we make each day. Every tissue in the body, from muscles and joints to organs and the nervous system, functions best when energy is not constantly diverted toward damage control, inflammation, or metabolic correction. Internal friction occurs when the body is forced to spend energy on managing stressors, whether from poor nutrition, inconsistent training, environmental pressures, or mental turbulence. By minimizing these stressors, the body can devote its resources to repair, regeneration, and optimal performance, allowing age to advance without unnecessary wear and decline. Friction inside the body can take many forms, both visible and invisible. Repeated metabolic spikes, chronic inflammation, sleep disruption, and even psychological stress all create conditions where the body operates in a state of constant correction rather than growth. Each instance of internal resistance diverts energy from repair processes and slows adaptation. Over years and decades, this diversion compounds, leading to slower recovery, reduced muscle and joint resilience, and diminished energy levels. Beckles' disciplined approach to training, nutrition, recovery, and mindset exemplifies the power of reducing these sources of friction, allowing his body to maintain high-level performance into advanced age. The principle of minimizing internal friction extends to lifestyle choices as well. Predictable patterns of sleep, exercise, and nutrition create a stable internal environment. The body thrives on regularity, responding to predictable inputs with efficient energy allocation and repair. Inconsistent schedules, erratic eating patterns, or neglect of recovery disrupt this equilibrium, forcing the body to operate in reactive mode. By contrast, consistent, carefully considered routines reduce internal noise, allowing cellular systems, hormonal cycles, and neurological processes to function harmoniously. This harmonization reduces the cumulative toll of aging and preserves functional capacity. Mental and emotional states also influence internal friction. Chronic stress or distraction forces the nervous system to remain in a heightened state of alert, increasing cortisol and other stress hormones that interfere with tissue repair, sleep quality, and immune regulation. Beckles' mental discipline, his ability to focus on deliberate action and maintain calm under pressure, demonstrates how cognitive control can reduce the energetic cost of internal tension. When the mind is aligned with the body's goals and processes, energy is conserved and directed toward adaptation, growth, and longevity. Another form of friction occurs when the body is repeatedly exposed to incompatible or low-quality nutritional inputs. Foods that provoke inflammation, destabilize blood sugar, or introduce metabolic confusion force the body into constant repair and detoxification. Over decades, these repeated micro-stresses accumulate, accelerating the visible and functional effects of aging. By choosing foods that supported metabolic stability, reduced inflammation, and provided readily usable nutrients, Beckles minimized these internal conflicts, allowing the body to focus on constructive processes rather than defensive ones. Physical training, when applied intelligently, also reduces internal friction. The body responds best to challenges that are deliberate, structured, and harmonious with its natural mechanics. Reckless or sporadic training produces micro-damage that exceeds the body's capacity to repair, increasing cumulative stress and injury risk. Beckles' approach emphasized measured progression, careful attention to form, and balance across muscle groups, joints, and connective tissues. This strategy minimized the friction that arises from internal stress and inefficient adaptation, ensuring that every workout reinforced resilience rather than contributing to wear. Ultimately, reducing internal friction is about creating a system in which energy flows efficiently, systems communicate effectively, and repair occurs predictably. Age becomes a measure of experience rather than decline. Beckles' longevity and sustained performance illustrate that when the body is treated as an integrated system, where nutrition, training, recovery, and mindset are harmonized, aging can unfold gracefully. Time continues, but the internal machinery moves smoothly, allowing vitality, strength, and clarity to persist. Internal friction is the hidden determinant of accelerated aging, and its reduction is the foundation upon which long-term health, performance, and life satisfaction are built.